Greetings one more time, sisters and brothers. I hope you've had a good bank holiday. This is absolutely massive, and this needs to be shared everywhere, especially to the people of Richmond and Uxbridge and South Ruislip. We need to do whatever we can, if it means leafleting their houses, to let them know their rights. They will not be told by the Parliament, the government, the mainstream media. No one will tell them of the rights they have. It is our job. We have a massive opportunity through the ballot box to avoid any more horror, for these people to be shown for what the people of their constituencies think of them now, for their breaking the rules, for their double standards, for their contempt for the people who followed the restrictions for nearly 2 years, who many of them lost loved ones and could not hold their hands or be with them, as their mums and dads died in rooms with strangers, as elderly people euthanised with midazolam. These people had parties, laughed at us and took the piss out of us. No social distancing for them, no mask for them. They must be held accountable, and that is why we are turning up from tomorrow at Parliament to demand their resignation. Meanwhile, on the other side, the people of Richmond and Uxbridge and South Ruislip, this is the power that they hold in this country right now. The recall of Mps Act from 2015 is an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom that makes provision for constituents to be able to recall their members of Parliament and call a by-election. It received royal assent on the 26th of March 2015 after being introduced on the 11th of September 2014. The recall of Mps Act 2015. That is the power that these people hold now, our fellow citizens, to avoid any further horrors by making these politicians be held to account. The conditions to trigger a recall, and here we are now at the Commons Library, parliament.uk, and you won't get more clarification than the Commons Library. These are the conditions how to trigger a recall. MPs can be recalled under 3 circumstances. We're just going to deal with the first circumstance here, which is the applicable one. Conviction in the UK of any offence and sentenced or ordered to be imprisoned or detained. After all appeals have been exhausted, note, a sentence over 12 months in jail automatically disqualifies someone from being an MP. There is such word wankery going on in that paragraph, and we will come back to it. But the important word to remember there is sentenced. Conviction in the UK of any offence and sentenced or ordered to be imprisoned or detained. Still here at the Commons Library at Parliament, if one of the conditions is met, the Speaker of the House must notify the local returning officer. They are known as a petition officer when dealing with a recall petition. The recall petition officer will arrange for the petition to be open for 6 weeks. Electors may sign in person at a signing station or sign by post or by proxy. For a recall petition to be successful, 10% of eligible registered voters need to sign the petition. 1 in 10 people in these constituencies has to forget about party loyalty and stand with morality and remember the draconian restrictions that we have been put under for nearly 2 years and how these people have shown us with contempt. I am ashamed to say I voted for Boris Johnson. I was taken in. I thought anyone better than Jeremy Corbyn, but my party allegiance is nothing compared to my moral compass. And I pray that 1 in 10 people in Richmond and in Uxbridge and South Ruislip will see the same. That it is so important that these people be thrown out, that they be held to account for the one rule for them and one rule for us. For the recall petition to be successful, 10%, as I say, eligible voters need to sign the petition. If the 10% threshold is reached, the petition officer informs the Speaker of the House of Commons. On the giving of that notice, the seat becomes vacant. A by-election is then required. The recalled MP may stand as a candidate. The timing of a UK parliamentary by-election is determined by custom of the House of Commons. The party that previously held the seat will usually decide when to trigger the by-election. If the 10% threshold is not reached, the recall fails and the MP retains their seat. Now, going back here, where they say conviction in the UK of any offence and sentenced or ordered to be imprisoned or detained. Now, knowing these slippery traitors, these criminals, these thieves and corrupt people, self-serving and serving their puppet masters, they would try and wiggle out and say, well, they haven't been sentenced, they just got a fine. It clearly says sentenced or ordered to be imprisoned or detained. Exactly, it clearly says conviction in the UK of any offence and sentenced or ordered to be imprisoned or detained. If they needed to be imprisoned, then it would have said conviction in the UK of any offence and sentenced to be imprisoned or detained. Word wankery. Sentenced. Well, let's see what sentence means. Oh, here we are at the Sentencing Council of the United Kingdom, who again unequivocal on the criteria of sentencing. And it says fines are the most common type of sentence given by the courts. That is because they are given for lower level crimes such as minor driving offences or minor theft. The court sets the amount of a fine after considering how serious the offence is and how much money the offender can pay based on their income. Sentencing. Fines are sentencing. There is no wriggle room. It's unequivocal, as shown by the House of Commons Library, by the Sentencing Council. Are fines part of a sentence? Judges typically impose fines with no accompanying prison time or probation as an alternative sentence for minor crimes or first-time offences. A fine is still a criminal sentence. However, and the defendant will have a criminal history even if they avoid prison time and merely pay a fine. Our Prime Minister, our Chancellor of the Exchequer, have a criminal record and they can now be recalled and a by-election triggered. Sisters and brothers, if 400 people can shut down the petrol refineries throughout the United Kingdom to cause havoc with petrol and diesel, surely 19.2 million people and all the other people who are disgusted by the way this government has behaved can notify the people of Richmond and Uxbridge and South Ruislip. As to their power, this country is now in those people's hands. They can do us all a favour and rid us of these despicable traitors, criminals, vile, corrupt people. Get the message out there far and wide, sisters and brothers. Print up if you can. If you're near these areas, please get to Richmond, get to Uxbridge and South Ruislip. Put the leaflets through the doors. Show them what they have. Give them the ammunition that they need to perform their civic duty to rid this country of complete and utter traitors. This is beyond party lines. This is about humanity, decency, morality, ethics. Hallelujah. Godspeed, sisters and brothers. One love.